BTL, coming at you. Good Thursday, everybody. Welcome to a special show of BTL Bass Talk Live, where we're going to talk bass fishing and anything else that we want to talk about. Yes, as you can see, we are live via Skype with our special guest today, Mr. Boyd Duckett. Matthew, he's still at Gunnersville trying to grind it out, but a special fourth show this week. And I thought it would be a great idea to get Boyd on and kind of give us a state of MLF going in to event number 5. They're halfway through the season. And along with that, some interesting questions that need to be asked. And Boyd was more than willing to come on the show today for this special show. And Boyd, man, I appreciate you taking time out.
Sure, absolutely, Mark. Man, it's always a pleasure to be here, and it's always fun to talk about Major League Fishing.
All right, man. We have plenty of time, and I've got some notes here, and I'm sure the fans on the instant feedback are going to have some questions. But let's kind of get started with this. You're 4 events into the season. Why don't you kind of sum up what your thoughts are going into event number 5, halfway through, and kind of give us an idea of what your feelings are, the successes, the things that you valued through these first 4 events, what you've done right, what you've done wrong, and more importantly, what are you going to improve on?
Yeah, that's a good. There's lots of that, unfortunately, like everything. Hey, as everybody knows, that this is a tremendous expansion for us. We had gotten really comfortable doing our 4 Cup events, our General Tire World Championship. And, Major League Fishing is such a fun format. It's a fun format for the fans. But as I have said on this show before and several times publicly, this Major League Fishing initiative, there's 80 of the top anglers in the world that have joined forces with, in my opinion, a company that's been built, a partnership, with obviously with the anglers. Cronky Sports and Entertainment, the Outdoor Sportsman Group, we have a fantastic media partner. The management team that we've built, it's amazing what a great team we have built. And then with our association with Bass Pro Shop, having Johnny Morse get involved as a sponsored partner, and the strength and wisdom that comes from all of that. So much momentum at Major League Fishing, and so it's been a crazy and wild ride this year. And as you've seen, the Bass Pro Tour events, we've completed 4 of them. We've learned how to do live stream. That's not something we've done before. I've gone back and watched a lot of that live stream. It's unbelievable. I'm really proud of the job that the live stream desk, Chad McKee, just an awesome job. We're so proud to have him. And, of course, Marty Stone, who's been there for a long time, JT Kinney, those 2 guys do an awesome job on the live desk because, they've lived it, they know. And it's funny, those feelings that we have inside where we're in the heat of competition, those guys are up there and they can see it live vicariously through us. So that live stream is phenomenal, man. It's fun to watch when I go back and watch it. Halfway through the season, it has been a wild roller coaster. I think the 4 events we've had, we had our stumbles, first and second one especially. A lot of it is on the live side. But ultimately, man, we are killing it with numbers. So many thanks to our fans for supporting us and being there and watching us live. And man, we're just plowing forward. We got 4 more of these to do, and then we'll wind it up with the Bass Pro Tour Championship that we call our Red Crest. Excited about that one, and then while all of this action's going on, we are dead in the heat during the off time when I'm not on the water, working on the rest of the growth of Major League Fishing. We intend to be in all levels of the sport. One of the things that's coming to life now is the fact that I want this unbelievable format, this excitement that you see when you watch, Bass Pro Tour live. I want everybody to experience that and be able to feel that and participate in it. So we're working hard now trying to make that become a reality. So, man, tons and tons. I could go on for hours about what all's going on.
All right, I want to jump into some questions that obviously some fans have, but recently there was an email that was sent out to a number of sponsors that, and I don't have it in front of me, I haven't seen it, that basically, and I'm paraphrasing, saying that the Major League Fishing anglers were not going to be allowed to attend any other expos, be it the Classic Expo or the FLW Cup Expo. What can you say about that?
Well, our Red Crest, that's our world championship. It's our job as a company to build that and make that be the biggest event in the world. We want all the fans to come. Let me tell you, the Red Crest in 2020, and that's the announcement letter that you're referring to. It was sent to all of our sponsors, announcing our first expo. Let me clarify this because it's a little bit confusing. We'll fish this season, and we'll have our championship, our Red Crest, but it's not an expo. In 19, of course, the Forestwood Cup will go on. The Bassmaster Classic would go on. Most of the sponsors and the fans have already planned those trips to do that. So we're announcing now our big Red Crest, which will be in August of 2020. Excuse me. So that's the announcement letter that you saw there. And it is our intention. One of the things that makes Major League Fishing so special is the fact that the anglers, the league, the owners, we're all one, and we all want all of our energy to grow to go to build the Red Crest and make it the premier event in bass fishing. That's what we intend to do. My personality that I have no doubt will accomplish that. That's just who I am and what I believe. So we're in what does that mean? So you talk about our anglers, working at a different show, being at a different expo. That's not something that is best for Major League Fishing. We want all our anglers and our angler fan bases to be at the Red Crest, and we will be. Now, that having been said, those are our dreams, and we feel like that's what we should do to be most successful. But we're very conscious of the industry, certainly of our sponsors. We're in conversations now with all our sponsors. We don't want to do anything that's negative either. We feel like most all of those sponsors will be at Red Crest and be there to support. But if our sponsors feel strong that we should also support the Classic, then we'll do that as well. So we're negotiating through that now. I'm not sure exactly where that'll be, but we want to support the industry. So we may be at both. But the biggest message is the fact that we're coming hard with this Red Crest. We have a fantastic show. It's going to be more fan interactive than anything ever has been. And you don't want to miss it, man. The Red Crest 2020, it's going to be the biggest event in bass fishing. We're excited about it.
All right. I kind of want to bleed into a question that is somewhat related to that, because the perception could be that, hey, you don't want your guys at any other expo, be it the FLW Cup or the Bassmaster Classic. So are you going to allow, or are the 80 anglers going to be allowed to fish in either the Opens or the Costas?
Yeah, absolutely. We're not closed to fishing and participating with the other leagues, the other issues. If time allows, the problem is, as we all know, the old problem is always scheduling. We're working on our 2020 schedule now. We've about got that hammered out. I have no idea how that fits anything else next year, but we don't have any reason to prohibit our anglers from fishing the other leagues. I'm a longtime bass guy. If it worked out, I love fishing the Bassmaster Opens. If time allowed, I might very well do that myself. So, it is a way to fish the Classic, which is a fantastic event. We stay focused on, I've said this before, we just really stay focused on what we need to do at Major League Fishing to make Major League Fishing the best it can be. We have so many plans to expand and so much work to do. We're not substantially affected or influenced by the other leagues. We have nothing against the other leagues. We all come from them. I have great respect for both leagues, and if I could participate, I'd love to in some of those events because they have a lot of stuff that's fun to fish. But our biggest focus is always that. It's what can we do for Major League Fishing? What's the best for us? How can we make it the best fan experience? And continue to work that. So that's where our head is.
All right. Bleeding off the previous two comments that you've made, you've been on this show several times, and you've made the comment, this is not a competition. It sure does seem like a competition to me, Boyd. What are your comments on that?
Well, there is not an intended competition. What I mean by that is, we don't. I know I can tell you personally, and having been there obviously from day one, putting a lot of these business packages together, partnerships together, anglers together. We don't have any negative feelings towards bass or FLW. I have very positive feelings towards both of those leagues, and so there is no direct competition against one or the other. If we can do things that help support them, and it's not negative for Major League Fishing. I mean, obviously, my first hat I must wear every day is Major League Fishing. There is in business, there will be competition for sponsor dollars. There's competition for fan space. So I guess anytime you compete in business, there is a form of competition. I think probably what that question was, I think when all this started and we started the Bass Pro Tour and all these anglers came over, I got a lot of questions. Are you guys mad at Bass? Are you guys mad at FLW? We're not mad at anybody. I have great respect for the Bass brand. As I said, FLW is where I started my career, like everybody has, fishing the Red Mans or the BFLs or whatever. And so it's nothing is driven by what the other leagues or what has happened in the past in bass fishing. We are driving ourselves with our own dreams, and the Major League Fishing hat and what's best for Major League Fishing is always what I will push and strive to do. And at the same time, we certainly respect those other positions. So there's no negative animosity towards anybody. We're just a big machine, and we've got a lot to do. And that does create competition in business, but that's America, man. It happens every day. You're not the only bass fishing website.
No,
so,
You're right.
Yeah.
I mean, we fight it all the time. All right.
Yep.
I'm curious, Boyd, from a brand perspective, the MLF brand and the brands that your anglers wear on their jerseys, what is the balance there in taking care of the brand, but at the same time taking care of the companies, the logos that these guys are wearing?
Yeah, that is in bass fishing, professional bass fishing, that's always been an issue. At Major League Fishing, we have a great advantage over what we have done in the past in the previous leagues. In that, as I mentioned at the start of the show, we are one and the same. So we're an angler-created league. We are an angler-driven, and so all of our sponsors, our angler sponsors, our Major League Fishing sponsors, they're all equal in that pool. The Bass Pro Tour is designed for anglers to showcase all their personal sponsors, no matter who they are, in the Bass Pro Tour Championship, and that's exactly what we do. Our cups are what they have been in the past, and that is we have a group of great sponsors that make our majors, our cup events, they make them possible. We're proud to display those sponsors. So that's how it works with us on sponsorship, but we're very conscious of all of them. We want to do all we can do, with the group of the small group of anglers that originally started and supported all these business ventures that I've been off into. We didn't do it. In all honesty, we didn't do it for personal gain. We did it because we wanted to make the sport better. We wanted to make the industry better, and we've never lost sight of that. So any angler's personal sponsor is equally as important to us as a Major League Fishing branded sponsor, and it'll always be that way. Your question is it hard? Absolutely it is, because all those guys are competitors.
Yeah.
Let's face it, they're all competitors. But we do our very best to find a way to build a platform that makes it successful for all of those. And by the way, we've done a really good job with that, because our sponsors, what we're delivering to them in media value is greater than most have ever received.
All right. I want to go back to competition. And in business, so many times businesses, as you know, they actually try to buy their competition to increase their market share. And this next question, a lot of people are curious about the next two questions that I'm going to ask. Number one, did Major League Fishing try to buy bass?
Yes, we did that back before the Bass Pro Tour started. One of the things, Bass has a great organization and a great brand, and moving into the highest level of bass fishing, that was something we were interested in, and we did pursue that. The Anderson family, ended up buying that organization, but we were very interested in it, and but it just didn't work our way.
All right. Having said that, there have been numerous rumors, and we don't talk about rumors on this show until we actually get the facts. And I'm hoping that you will answer this question. The rumor that's been flying around is Major League Fishing going to buy FLW?
Gosh, you've heard that, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's go back to some of the things that we've talked about in the past, and I have shared our dreams and the plans that are in place for us to grow into all levels of bass fishing. We intend to share the Major League Fishing experience, which is elevated from any form of competitive bass fishing that any of us have ever experienced. I think you've heard that now from all 80 of our guys and anybody that's ever participated. And it is a business plan to make that available to everyone. We intend to do that, either growing that organically by introducing these leagues one at a time, from high school to college, to the BFL level, weekend stuff for guys, Costa level, Opens level. We intend to let everyone participate in every level at Major League Fishing. So let's answer the FLW question. You see where we stand today, and I don't know that there's much doubt that we've created the highest level of bass fishing with the Bass Pro Tour. I don't know that I hear any argument on that anymore. You also know that our goal is to move into grassroots. So the obvious answer is FLW, in my opinion, has the strongest and best, most successful grassroots elements that are out there. So if there's an opportunity for us, I think I mentioned in the beginning, me, like most pros, we all started, man, at FLW. And one of the things, I think a tremendous amount of that company, one of the things they've done is they've stayed true to their grassroots. That is a long time recognition for FLW. BFL series, man, everybody that's fished, has fished that. It was Red Man back when I fished it. So when we're looking at the possibility of doing this, if I can, find a way to work with FLW via a partnership and acquisition, that would obviously be a great opportunity for us, because they have a tremendous customer base, but more importantly, they have a great structure. Their people are grassroots people. There's nobody that does it better than FLW. And if there's some way to work something with them, great opportunity for us and a great opportunity for grassroots fishermen. And that's what we're in it for. We want to do this thing right. And so, yes, we've had some conversations, and I'd be very excited if we had that opportunity. It would be a super asset for us to find a way to work with those guys.
All right. I want to talk. I got a little feedback there. I'm sorry. I want to talk a little bit about, bleeding off of what you just said about the effort to try and buy bass, and then supposedly some interest in buying FLW. Boy, that takes money. And I think it's quite obvious that you guys are spending a ton of money right now, just with everything that you have going on from a technology standpoint, the drive-through, everything that you're putting into it from a financial perspective. You guys are spending a lot of money. It takes a lot of money to be able to purchase companies like FLW. And I know that Mr. Kroenke is very, very wealthy, and whoever would be involved in that transaction. What I'm trying to get to is, even if you add these assets, you guys are going to have to start generating revenue outside of the fishing industry. And I talk a lot about this guy on the show ever since you guys made the announcement that Jeff Klatchko, and I hope I'm saying his name correctly. Am I saying it right? Is it Klatch?
Yeah, Klacko is what we call him.
Klacko,
yeah.
Okay. This guy is a big hitter out of New York City. He worked for NBC Sports. The importance of being able to follow through outside of the fishing industry to generate revenue to where you can maintain and obviously increase your profitability for the owners, for the anglers, and continue to make this thing into what you want to make it. I think this guy is the most important guy in your company right now. You have to, and if I'm wrong, you tell me, but you have to, over the next few years, get the ink dry on companies that are outside of the fishing industry to sustain the amount of expense that you're incurring. Is that a false statement, or am I dead on that?
You know that, Mark, that's very correct, and I think as people look at us and what we've done at Major League Fishing, we are so different than that's why when I make statements that we're not in direct competition with Bass and FLW, we are not those companies. Our vision is much different than that. We got in this thing, and we've not taken our eye off the ball. What this whole thing, this is an investment to take an opportunity to try to grow the sport of competitive bass fishing, not only for those that participate, but also the recognition of the rest of America, the rest of the public. We have a fun and exciting sport. The world doesn't know that beyond a very small core that has followed us for many years. So when you see these business moves that we make, these investments we've made, the fact that we have a media partner like KSE, the Outdoor Sportsman Group, the magazines and the networks and all of those things, that is all by intention. That is to build a platform to invest to grow the sport of bass fishing bigger than it ever has been. And by the way, we are very successful at that. We have tens of thousands of comments and emails and posts that we get from people that have never watched bass fishing. So it's so satisfying to see that happen. We are reaching people. We're reaching people on television. You look at where we air. We're not just on the Outdoor Channel and Sportsman Channel and WFN, which are all owned properties of ours. But you see us investing on CBS Network. Bass Pro Tour will be on Discovery Channel with 2-hour shows. CBS Sports. We have other network opportunities that we're currently negotiating. That is a phenomenal investment. You've heard me say that bass fishing, professional bass fishing as a whole, has done very little to invest in growing the sport. That term was used loosely in the past. When you make a concerted effort to grow something, to grow the sport of bass fishing, it takes tremendous investment. It takes a thought process that is outside the box of what you've always done. I mean, let's face it, that hasn't been done before. A minimal amount of investment has been made in ESPN2 or with a minimal number of hours. Not great airtime, and as a result, not great results because that was never a business decision that their management team that got together and they figured, okay, we're going to win at this. We're going to find a way to do that. We're completely different than that. Our goal is to grow the sport of bass fishing. We are experiencing that success. So to get back to your question, what does that mean? That means that this investment is bigger than our industry. If we're going to make this bigger than our industry, we can't expect the sponsors that have supported professional bass fishing to bear the cost of an expansion beyond their customer base. And that's exactly what it is. So as we create these bigger media platforms, we now have room for the General Tires and the Geicos and the rest of them that are coming to get into our sport, because we have something to offer in the forms of ratings and eyeballs and a fan base that is outside of what it used to be. So from a business plan, you have to have we've got to have some of these super heavy hitters like Jeff that can go out and say, hey, we have this new emerging sport, and sell that to non-endemic sponsors and offer them value. We have great value now. We have grown. We are so much bigger from a media platform than what our industry is used to. Jeff has something to sell, and people are interested, and they're looking at us, and they're going, hey, man, this bass fishing thing, it's a big deal, and it's an emerging sport. So from that perspective, you're dead on, and those kind of super talents, and make no mistake, he's a big player in the sports world, in the stick and ball, NASCAR, that world. You see us making those decisions. Well, that one is evident. A lot of the other stuff we do is not as evident, but I promise you that's exactly where our head is. We want to take professional bass fishing, make it visible to everyone. And that's never been different from the original dream, and we are tracking. And I'm very proud to have Jeff on board. He's hasn't been here long, but he's a superstar, and we need that. And we have other employees that are not just fishing industry employees that we've brought into our production team, in our live stream team, our management team. The value we have having KSE in our management team on the board, and as big and expansive as they are in professional sports, think of the wisdom that's available there. It's tremendous. And then I will throw this in as well, because one of my big dreams when this was all getting put together was to find a way to have Johnny Morris be part of this. Not for the sponsorship of Bass Pro and the White River and the boat brands, not about money, but because in our industry, he's an individual that is not just driven to grow the sport, but he's very passionate about doing it correctly and having his wisdom available. Man, we have assembled a team to go places that the rest of our industry, they've never thought about. They might have talked about it over a beer somewhere, but it was like going to the moon for them. Mm-hmm. Those are our dreams and aspirations, and what you're seeing is a result of that. We've got our feet on the ground. We're marching in the right direction, and we're going places, and the momentum is strong. The team is unbelievable, and you're going to see these things happen because it's coming true. I've been in business my whole life, and this team and this assembly, it's unbelievable, guys. And these are no longer dreams anymore. These are realities that you're seeing come true a piece at a time. And so I know that's a long answer, but you need to hear that what we plan to do at Major League Fishing. We're not a fishing tournament organization. We are an emerging sport. That's what we set out to be. We are winning we are succeeding at that. And so as you see these superstar players come, they're going to keep coming, and we're going to keep doing it, and we're going to get there, man. It's fun and exciting. There's a lot of stuff going on.
All right. One more question, and then we're going to take a break and come back, and I want to get to some of the questions on the instant feedback. The instant feedback's been blowing up. I've been trying to keep up with it, but
you're hamstrung because you don't have your help today.
I know. Boyd, let's face it, from a fan perspective, And this goes for anything that is out there from an entertainment or an activity perspective. Everybody has an opinion on something. And there are fans that are extremely loyal to what you're trying to do with Major League Fishing. There's also fans out there that flat out just don't like it and have been very vocal about it on social media, obviously on some of the instant feedback that we do on this show. How big is the challenge to get fans to understand really what this format is about, and more importantly, to adapt to the change that you guys are doing?
Yeah, that is a good question, and we also fight that internally, and let me say this: what bass fishing has been in the past is what I grew up with as well, and it wasn't wrong. Nobody's done anything wrong, okay, and so that's part of it. It's not a challenge of do we have a weigh in, and do we weigh 5 fish, and what is this new Major League Fishing? I very much enjoyed our sport my whole life. I have told you many times I have a great appreciation for the brands that allowed us to compete within our industry. I still enjoy everything about fishing, but recognize that the goal of Major League Fishing was to create a product that would allow our sport to expand greatly and allow fans that aren't necessarily anglers, okay, to also enjoy seeing what we do from a competitive standpoint. We've succeeded at that. The format and the things that we do different are very appealing to that. Now, back to our core fan base, which is me. Okay, I love everything about bass fishing and what we've done in the past and what we intend to do in the future. I enjoy all of it. But we also offer a product, and this is also key. You guys that don't fully understand yet, you haven't participated in Major League Fishing. You haven't yet felt what we felt. You know, as professional anglers, we've done this since we've been this big. And all of the guys that have come in, the original Cup guys, weren't sure what it was going to be like until they experienced it. Then we had the selects and another group of guys that came in. Then we had the Bass Pro Tour and guys, and everybody was resistant until you get to participate and feel what this competition does in bass fishing. It is so many times greater and to experience than what we have ever done in the past. And so, I'll go back to what I said earlier. We want to make that experience, and we fully intend to and will make that experience available for all that want to participate. When that happens, there'll never be another question. I know that because I've lived through it. Mm-hmm. It's just everyone hasn't had a chance to feel that. So, I think part of it is the fact that the allegiance that I feel to the lifetime of the Bass brand, for instance, that I have great respect for, the FLW brand that I grew up fishing with the Red Mans and all those competitions, that's probably drives some of this. And I still feel that as well, and I have great respect for that. But that was a very stable and consistent process that would have forever kept bass fishing where it was. And it wasn't bad. But our dream was to make it national and available to everybody. And we're doing that, and we're succeeding at that. And it's pretty cool because if you're a competitive bass fisherman, it's almost beyond what people can comprehend in dreams. But, we just watched Tiger Woods win the Masters last Sunday. And it touched a tremendous number of Americans and a sports fan, and I loved it. I enjoyed every minute of it. That same experience for our pros one day to watch, Kevin Van Dam or Mark Davis, Paul Elias, to watch them win win late in their careers. I don't know when that'll be, but the world should enjoy that same experience. Okay, our sport is just as competitors, just as competitive. Our competitors are just as good or better than the rest of the world than they are on the PGA, and the rest of the world doesn't get to feel that. That's what this dream. That's what Major League Fishing is. And I want Paul Elias to win again, as Tiger has, a major, and the world should feel and appreciate that. That's the goal of Major League Fishing. That's where we're headed. That's what our don't know where the end is. That's what we are trying to do, and that's awesome. That is great for our sport, for everyone that participates, and that's what this format is allowing us to do. So the only thing I can say for those that maybe pull against it, don't think that we don't have great appreciation and admiration for the brands that we grew up with, because we do. I can tell you from the core of the center of this company, I have great admiration and always will, and respect for those brands and what they've done. But I want our sport to be the PGA or NASCAR. And it's not going to happen if somebody doesn't work to make that happen. That's what we're about. And it is different. But hang on, guys. When you get a chance to be part of it, you're going to feel it.
All right.
And you'll never back up.
I want to follow up. And I know I said that I was going to go break, but this just popped into my head. All right. I remember the situation when Coca-Cola changed their original flavor. And they made this thing called Coke Classic. This was a number of years ago, and some people may not even realize that there was a period, I think it was in the 80s, maybe the early 90s.
It's called New Coke.
New Coke, yeah. And obviously Coca-Cola had been around forever, and people were used to the way that Coke tasted. Well, what did Coke do? What they did is they put together this placement of that new brand into the hands of consumers, to get them to taste it, to get them to experience what this new taste was like. And I can remember being a kid or a teenager in college. I can't remember what the time frame was, but you'd be in the grocery store and they would hand out these cups of Coke or little bitty cans of Cokes, and they would get you to experience it. The point I'm trying to make, Boyd, is sometimes when change occurs, you have to let people get a taste of it. Get them to experience a little bit. Because now, are the fans not kind of basing an opinion based upon what they're watching, and they can't actually taste it? They can't actually experience. And obviously I'm talking about the people that are outside of that pool that is a big part of what you're trying to capture. But I think inside the pool that we're living in right now, in the bass fishing pool, that there's a number of fans, a number of anglers out there that maybe just haven't experienced what you guys are trying to do. And if they had that little cup as they went to the lake or competed in some of the club events or their team trails or whatever, if there was something out there that actually they could touch and taste and feel and smell, that they might have a better understanding of what this change is about. Now, I get it. I know you guys are currently not in the position to roll out this feeder system, but I'm looking at the instant feedback, and there are numerous posts that I have not posted about when is the feeder system coming out? When is the feeder system coming out? How about, and this is just an idea that I thought of, how about giving some of these clubs or some of these trails an opportunity to experience and taste it and feel it, to where maybe people might change the way that they're unable to relate because they've never experienced it. Am I just totally off the wall, or is that a good comparison?
Hey, that's a great comparison, and that's part of what I was trying to say. in that as we're able to roll out some of these other opportunities for anglers to compete and feel the competition that the Major League Fishing format provides, they're going to be exciting. They're going to be excited, man. It takes competitive bass fishing to a new level. It has for everyone that's gotten involved. And you're exactly right. The those that participate in competitive bass fishing need to feel and taste this, and those are all plans that we have. So a lot of that has happened, by the way, because one of the things we did was we made our Score Tracker Live app available, where you can go online, MajorLeagueFishing.com, and you can take your club or your organization, and basically you're leasing use of our Score Tracker system. So you can get Score Tracker up on your iPhone or your tablet or whatever device you carry, and it's not much. It's a couple, $2.99, $1.99, I don't remember, but you activate it, and then you can actually go have a Major League Fishing style event, see what all the other competitors have by having Score Tracker on your phone, and you can experience Major League Fishing. We have a tremendous number of clubs that do that now. And of course, as you can see, you've asked a lot of good questions. You can see, unquestionably, we're coming through one way or the other. We're coming to the grassroots level. So it's a short amount of time by comparison to all that we have to accomplish. It won't be long, and there'll be a lot of vehicles where people can experience that, and they'll come along.
All right, I want to take a break. Come back, and we're going to get to some of the questions. It's loaded up, Boyd, so we might be here a little while, but we'll try to get to a number of the questions on the instant feedback. We'll take a break, come back with Boyd Duckett. Everybody stay tuned.
Sleek new design with easy control file. The clearest images underwater with uncompromising range. Live mapping from the touchscreen. View notifications, video, even Google Maps on screen. And for the first time ever, real-time view of fish movements with live sight sonar. HDS Live. New from Lowrance.
I got my power pole down, stuck in the mud in the bottom of the lake, sitting so still in the wind and the waves, could even be a hurricane. I got my power pole down.
AFCO has a new foul weather rain suit called the Hydronaut. A lot of the features that I really like about it first is the speed vent hood. If it's raining out, how a person gets wet is when you run down the lake and the hood comes down. With the speed vent hood, it's going to stay up. It has a camera mount in the pocket on the chest. The Hydronaut has a 2-layer, 100% waterproof nylon shell. If you're interested in a rain suit that has a lot of cool features that's going to keep you dry, you need to check out the Hydronaut from AFCO.
Aaron Martin's here. I'm going to be telling you about a new product by Sunline. It's Siglon PE x8. I've been using it almost extensively all year for my frogging, flipping, drop shotting, shaky heading, worming, jerk baiting. It's by far my favorite Sunline braid. I honestly, I don't say this unless I think it's true, but honestly, it's the best braid in the market of any of the braids. Definitely check it out. It's a price point line, $14.95 for 165 yards, and that could last you a whole year, just one spool with using leader material. It's Siglon PE x8. It's my favorite braid, and I think if you use it, it'll be your favorite braid too.
Pros depend on hydraulic jack plates to get the best out of their boats. Do what they do. Demand Atlas performance. Atlas gets you from the bottom to the top in less than 8 seconds, even with the big 4-strokes. And when you gotta turn right around and get that heavy load back up in rough water, Atlas's innovative design and American-made components will get you there with confidence.
I'm at Depot. Just look for yourself. There's an Atlas jack plate on just about every professional's boat.
The Atlas hydraulic jack plate. You can depend on it.
All right, we are back on a Thursday, closing out the week with a special exclusive show interviewing one of the founders of Major League Fishing, Boyd Duckett. Boyd, we're going to get to the instant feedback here in a minute. A lot of good questions out there, but I do want to ask one more question. I'm being a little greedy. One of the things from this past week, and I have voiced my frustration with this, is the fact that it was the first time in 2019 that all 3 trails were going on at the same time. And I think it takes away from all parties involved. It was somewhat frustrating if you're just a fan of the game to try and follow all 3. And I get it. You know, you guys had to do what you had to do from a scheduling standpoint because it was a last minute thing. But in moving forward, what are your thoughts in the best interest of all parties involved to do everything possible to not schedule on top of each other? And the additional question is, would you be willing to actually sit in a room, of which I have discussed before on this show, with representatives from all 3 trails, if there are 3 trails in 2020, to sit down and say, look, guys, all right, I know we're competitors, but at the same time, let's keep our platforms to where the focus is on us, not trying to divide it up. All right? What are your thoughts on that, Boyd?
I think that's very admirable. I'll vote to make you the administrator.
I'll do it. I've been talking about it for years.
Yeah, because I agree with you. It's fun to follow all of that. I have a lot of friends. There's a lot of great competitors at FLW. I like to track and watch what they do at their events. I watch the Elite Series. I like to track and see what they do at their events. Obviously, I'm at the Major League Fishing events. I love to watch that as well. And so, if there was a way to make it work, but I can tell you, being involved in creating the schedule, we have 15 weeks that we have to work into the schedule. The guys the anglers like to have an off season. 3 months during the winter, which gives us about 9 months to work with. Now, one of the things, being angler-driven league, when we create our schedule, one of the things that our anglers have tolerated for years that is very hard on them, they're gone a lot anyway, a lot of stress on their families and their off time, is all of the holidays and times that they miss, Mother's Day and Easter and Halloween and activities with their kids and opportunities to take vacations. A lot of that has always been a hindrance. So what we have done, we have our dates. We're trying to finalize dates now, not venues, but dates. That's the hard part. And just getting our 15 weeks put in with a reasonable travel time. That's the other thing, man. Being gone these long stretches and a week in between, and you're trapped out west or up north or down south if you're from somewhere else, that puts so much travel time. So we have created a time schedule to maximize the benefit for our 80 anglers. That's our job. So by the time we set that, you can't imagine there's not enough weeks. Now, you'd have to look at the schedule to see it. Yeah. And when you see our schedule go out, if you'll take a calendar and look at what we've missed, we barely can get ours in there. So although I like the idea, and I would be willing to work on that, to do all we could do, you're going to find that what it's going to do is put those other pros traveling on those other circuits, they're going to be trapped with those same weeks that our anglers don't want. So that's what makes it happen. It's just almost impossible. Because I'm telling you, we're fighting right now to figure out how to get our 15 weeks, including ICAST, to work without having guys gone on all the holidays they need to be home for. It's amazing. When you look at it on a calendar, you'll scratch your head like we all do and go, God, there's no other choice. It's just almost impossible.
All right. I want to go to the instant feedback now. Let's see here. Peter wants to know, with all the success you experienced this year and all the momentum, what do you think will be the tour's biggest challenge going forward? There it is, right there.
Yeah, there it is, right there. He's calling to ask me directly. Gosh, the biggest challenge going forward for the tour, one of our big challenges, because Bass Pro Tour tied into all the cups, so all of Major League Fishing fully encompassed. When you're operating the highest level of bass fishing, we have to have a red crest. Our Bass Pro Tour Championship needs to culminate and become a huge event, and that's going to be a big challenge. We have a tremendous investment. We have some great ideas, and we've built this huge show. We haven't done it yet. That's set for August of 2020. So one of the things I feel pressure from is how to make this event be bigger and better than anything that ever has been. And there's some great events out there, Bassmaster Classic, which is a phenomenal event. But for us to culminate, the world's highest level of competitive bass fishing, we have to create the world's largest championship, and that's quite a challenge. So in the coming years, I guess to answer that question, and I feel certain we'll accomplish that as we have everything else we've set out to do. But that's going to be quite challenging, and that's one of the things that weighs heavy on me is making all that work out.
All right, Andy in Indiana wants to know, what is the game plan to get the streaming issues taken care of?
Yeah, that's a really good question, and we're 4 events in, and our investment in streaming, I can tell you this, some of the problems that our industry has had in the past, we bought our way past that. And what I mean by that, it's really expensive to stream at a level that that other major sports stream. And we bought the technology and the equipment on our side to do that. But all streaming has a problem. We don't have control on the end user's side. And there are things that you can do to make that better by compressing, for instance, what you receive on a mobile device has less quality. And so, but you do that intentionally so it has the ability to stream on a mobile device. So we're working through, this is technology. I'm not the expert at this now. Okay. I'm telling you what the geniuses we hired to do this are telling me, but we have to figure out how to send our signal in such a way so it's easiest for you to receive. And that's challenging. But but all forms of streaming are hard for ESPN or ABC or any of them because of the end user side on streaming, and because it's just a lot of data. And so that is quite a challenge. We are very focused on that. I don't know that we have the ability to fix it because we can't fix your end. So that's a problem that all of streaming in all industries deal with.
I know a number of people on the instant feedback have mentioned YouTube, and we stream on YouTube. And my question from that, and I'm kind of bleeding off what they have mentioned, is with the amount of exposure and the amount of people that you have watching, to me, I'm curious as to, is there any plan to even contact YouTube or maybe start some dialogue with YouTube to be able to monetize and actually, I call it simul-stream, what you guys are doing to where you could actually gain more visibility on YouTube? Has that even been brought up, Boyd?
Yes, there's conversations about that. I don't know what that end would be, but I can tell you part of what drives that on our side. YouTube is much different than streaming on your own website, and there are advertising restrictions.
Right.
The investments that we have made to make Bass Pro Tour live stream, we have to recover those investments. We can't continue to grow this thing and make it better. It takes money, guys, and it is a business at the end of the day, and we have to cover all those costs. We have not yet figured out how to do that. You can stream on YouTube at a low cost where you require low revenue, but we're not in that position. We're a growing, expanding, when you're trying to grow a sport, we're trying to do things in a much bigger way. And so we have to make those revenue streams fit. We've not been able to figure that out with the YouTube option yet. The streaming is good, but if our sponsors and advertisers, can't stream, that's just not going to work,
right,
for us. Because it costs a lot of money to do what we're doing, and we have to receive that revenue.
Okay. Blake in South Knoxville, Tennessee wants to know. He said he's heard several interviews from guys, and he heard what Andy Morgan and others have said, that they would like to get rid of practice. What are your thoughts on that? Show up and go. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, that's what we do in the Cups and in the championships. So we have 5 events that are show up and go. So we do, and we have 9 events that aren't. So we do both. That's a very mixed feeling among the 80 Bass Pro Tour anglers. And so ultimately that decision will be an angler decision. One of the things that's important to me, we've done a good job. We move as a group collectively. We don't want a vote of 41-39 where half the field is extremely disappointed and half the field is happy with any decision we make. So we work hard to talk among ourselves so that we can move collectively as a group and keep everybody satisfied. Practice, the 2-day practice has worked well for us. It's made great television. It's given the anglers the ability to see what you see on the Bass Pro Tour. We're killing it, man. We're catching a lot of fish, catching a lot of big fish. That's not possible with the show up and go, as you can see from the Cups. I mean, takes a period and a half to figure out what's going on. So that is a tough question. That's not something the league will decide. That's something the anglers will decide. And whenever the vast majority of the anglers can agree on one or the other, that's what you'll see us do. But right now, the vast majority of the anglers, it's for practice.
All right, Josh in Missouri wants to know, why do you think the seasoned vets are struggling so much after 4 events?
Why? Ask that again.
Why do you think that the seasoned veterans are struggling so much after 4 events?
Well, that's a good question, and so this is just a personal theory because I don't know that I know that answer, but I can tell you this, and as the rest of you will eventually get to experience Major League Fishing and the pace of Major League Fishing, this sport is elevated to a new level with Major League Fishing. So for any individual angler, it is way harder than it used to be with a 5-fish limit. There's a lot of security. The pace that we fished at Bass and FLW with our 5-fish limits, that is a much slower pace. You get 2 big fish in the morning. You can run at a lot more comfortable pace. And we don't have the luxury of a big fish saving you like we did back in the 5-fish limit days. So one big advantage, and guys, I just can't explain to you the level of energy it takes to be effective competing in Major League Fishing in our format. So it's seeing some of the younger guys be able to hold that energy level for that full 7.5 hours. I think personally that's what it is. It takes 3 or 4 times the energy to compete effectively in a Major League Fishing event than it ever did in any of the other tournament formats we fished in. So I think that's the answer.
All right, there are several posts on here about why not take this schedule and try to focus in the fall rather than flip it where you guys go super early in the pre-spring. In other words, spread it out to where you may go south in the fall and winter instead of going south when the season kicks off.
Yeah, that's a reasonable question, and we really do. When you look at our schedule, which we're working on here now, we'll release those dates as soon as we can, which won't be too long, hopefully. But we're heavy through the whole season. We start in February; it's a great month to fish, and we go all the way into November. And so we fish deep into the fall. You got to realize we have 14 events with all the Cup events and the Cup Championship and all that. We're basically pretty evenly spread from February into the first part of November, and that doesn't leave much off time really. So we do use all of it. You just have to see it on a calendar, and then you'll go, gosh, man, these guys fish all they're using it all. It's hard to get all these events in.
All right. A number of people want to know, has all of this hurt your performance in the first 4 events?
Yeah, it's a reasonable question. You want to say, having worked my whole life and competed, I've been pretty good as I have to in my life with all the businesses that I own and all the things that I do. The only way I have ever been able to compete is to try to compartmentalize, to block the world out. That's what it takes. When I go to any event, whether it's it's an FLW event or a Bass event or now Major League Fishing events, and that gets harder and harder to do the busier you can be. It's unbelievable how much is going on and how busy I've been. I've had a lot of 70 and 80-hour weeks trying to make this Major League Fishing thing go. I also still have all my other businesses going, so that's no excuse, man. We all have stuff we have to do, and you got to show up and compete. But it does take more focus and more energy to compete effectively in a Major League Fishing event than it does, previously in the Elite Series, without question. I don't think there's any of our 80 guys that wouldn't agree to that. So maybe that's part of it. I don't know that I choose to change that. Competitive bass fishing's always meant a lot to me, but it's never been what I've done full time. I'm a dinosaur when it comes to that. And the reward that I receive from working and the success that we've had from Major League Fishing is equally as important as the trophies as a competitive bass fisherman. So the fact that I'm still competing and I still get to do it, I take appreciation in that. I enjoy and cherish every minute I have competing on tour, but I don't plan on backing off, because the big dream of making Major League Fishing do all of the things that you heard us talk about today, that's a bigger trophy for me than any of the red trophies we give. So I'm very successful personally, so I'm happy with that.
All right. Andy and a couple other people want to know, will you be rolling out fantasy fishing in 2020?
We don't have plans to roll that out in 2020. Because of so many of these other things going on, I don't really know that I can accurately give that answer. We've got a lot of expansion that has to happen in 20. Least case scenario, you'll see a next level be created, because we have to, at the end of the third year, then we have our cut, and we have our guys coming through our feeder system to fill the Bass Pro Tour. So that has to happen, as well as all these other things that have been asked today and all these questions that have been brought up. So I haven't been active working on that. I don't have an accurate answer. I think it's awesome, and it's something that we should do. It'd be great if we can get it done by 20, but I know all hands on deck have been super busy trying to just correctly and efficiently operate this Bass Pro Tour. It's the first year, guys. We're 4 events, into a new world. So a lot going on. We just haven't been able to get that.
All right, Matt in Alabama wants to know, what can you tell us about the college event that you guys had? Because I'll be honest with you, Boyd, I didn't even know what was going on. I had no idea that you guys were doing that, and I think a lot of other people didn't either. Yeah,
that's something that Tom Brubaker kind of headed up. Obviously, I've said in the past we intend to be in high school and college, and that was a one-off event that was an opportunity. I didn't spend much time on that either, so I don't know a lot about the details as well. But you'll see a lot more of that kind of stuff coming from us, because our format is just perfect for college competition, and we want to continue down that road.
More events to come?
More events to come.
All right, this is an interesting question. Brian from Lake Norman wants to know, 4 tournaments in, what has been the biggest gripe from the BPT anglers?
Gosh, let me think about what that has been, because Gary Klein and I talk about this often in both of our very long careers. The excitement and enthusiasm from the anglers at these Bass Pro events, Bass Pro Tour events, is unlike anything we've seen. So there aren't a lot of gripes. Some insignificant things, mistakes that we made. I mean, we're running, gigantic high-level tournaments, for the first time. So we've stumbled on some of the obvious. But I don't know that there are a lot of gripes from the guys. The overall experience for the anglers and the response we have. I've never seen a group of anglers be more satisfied than what we currently have. If it's anything that I had to identify, it's the challenges of finding a way to work with sponsors and incorporate them. Our personal sponsors make them comfortable, because we made a huge change moving over to the Bass Pro Tour. Just like we talked about early in the show, we're all focused on making the Red Crest the biggest event in bass fishing. At the same time, we respect the industry that supports us. You ask a question, work at the Classic, don't work at the Classic. Those kind of challenges are a little bit tough. But we'll make good decisions there. We'll do what's best for the industry as we move forward. So we just have to work through those natural rubs.
All right. Some of the things that you've had to move on from challenges, and obviously with this being the first year have been challenges. There are several people on the instant feedback that just want to know your thoughts on the social media posts that were placed out there that were removed right after the Bassmaster Classic. Any comments on that, Boyd?
Yeah, as we move forward, I know that there's been a lot negative that has been said to our sponsors, coming from Bass. I think Bass got their feelings hurt when such a large group of us struck out to try to do something different, bigger and better. It's very similar to when you have a management employee leave your company to strike out on their own. There's some resistance to that, and so a lot was said. It is important for us. We always want the truth to be put out there, and so when there's challenging statements made, specific numbers about, ratings or and counts and things like that. We respond. We want the world to know what the truth is and what we're doing instead of someone else's opinion about that. So I think that's kind of what generated that. And but at the same time, we don't want to be in a piss fuss with anybody. That's not the intention. And probably the timing. Hey, listen, we're very proud of what we've accomplished. We have done things that have never been done in this sport. We have reached numbers on television and live stream and social media that have never been touched in this sport. That's a fact. That's an easily verifiable fact. All of that, and we're very proud of that. We want the world to know that. We want our sponsors to know that. We want the fans to know that all this work and energy is paying off, and we're moving at an uphill pace, unprecedented for our industry. All that having been said, we have to be sensitive to the fact that can seem overwhelming. We don't want it to be derogatory. I mentioned this in the past. We have two great leagues that we come from. I know personally, I have no desire to be derogatory towards the Bass brand or the FLW brand. And I guess that's how that was felt. And I don't mean, we have no intention for that to be the case. We just want to do what we do. When you're successful, it's natural to be proud of that. And it's a fact that we have multiplied numbers that our industry has never seen before. That's a fact. But we probably have to be careful how we display that information, because it's certainly not intended to be derogatory. We're just very proud of what we've accomplished, and over time the world will see that. We probably won't release that if it's not well received, and other than to our sponsors, because they're very interested in it. But that's the answer that I have for that. I think that was the feeling there, and we have no ill intent by that. And just like anyone, man, we're really proud of what's happened. So that's what drove that.
All right. There are a number of comments here about the guys signing the score sheet. And what I want to tell everyone is on Monday, I actually mentioned it on the show, and I had an official statement from Steve Core, your operations director, tournament director. I forget what his official title is. What is it?
Director of Tournament Operations.
Okay. He issued an official statement, and we talked about that. And you tell me, Boyd, it sounded like to me, based upon his statement, that it's more of a checks and balance kind of situation for everybody to have to sign their score sheet now. I mean, what can you say about it?
Yeah, it's the first time that we had done that, and it's a great pickup. Steve's right. It's we've had no issues, but to give the angler the opportunity, I mean, all it is your caddy in the PGA, the caddy writes the score down, and then the player verifies the score. I mean, we certainly don't want to make a mistake, so that was just one more piece. Our process, by the way, so everybody understands, the first thing the official does when we weigh a bass is he writes that score down, because he's got to go through a process to enter it into the score tracker system. If that's delayed for any reason, we don't want him to forget, 211, so the first thing he does is write it down. So that scorecard is just like your PGA card is in golf. And that's your verification of everything that happened. No matter what happens electronically, we have a hard copy of exactly what happened. So it seems natural to allow the player to simply verify what the official wrote. So that's all that is. And that's the first time we did it. So I think the first day it was a little bit awkward, but having fished through the event, I don't even notice it. And all we do is just initial what the weight was. I've never had an official enter a weight that was incorrect, so doesn't matter to me either way, but it's a good verification.
All right. Do you think someday that you will get to the point where your officials, because let's face it, Boyd, they're probably some of the most important people, obviously because of what they do during a tournament. Do you foresee actually having full-time officials where this is their primary job rather than a part-time gig or a supplemental gig or anything like that. Very similar to what the NFL has. They have full-time officials to where they may have some other capacity or something like that. Is that something from an importance standpoint to get somebody that is so pivotal in what takes place on the water that these guys might go full-time someday?
Yeah, that's a good question, and I guess I would agree with that, and we've certainly tried to look at it from that perspective. That's one of the reasons why we don't have marshals, guy that's in a boat once, and I don't know that everybody realizes that we have 50 full-time officials. We have officials, every one of them has come to Tulsa. They've been through a week-long training process. They get training classes at every event. The officials are part of our team. It's unbelievable. We always talk about the anglers and the management and the partnership all being together. We also have 50 guys that are fully invested. And these officials, man, they're dedicated to do this thing right and to not make any mistakes. They work hard at it. And they are part of our Major League Fishing family. And they're investing their time and energy, and they're doing a super job. So we have 50 full-time officials. That's all they do. That's what they do, and they're really, really good at it. And now, whether they don't have another job, and I don't know that even in in college football, those officials, they're paid. It's a per diem.
Right.
They may have other jobs. They get paid per game basically, and that's kind of the same future that I guess I see for us. Our officials. It'll be a per game deal. Whether it ever pay if our sport gets big enough that their per game money is good enough to live on. I don't know how to answer that. We got a long way to go to reach that point.
Yeah.
So. But we are tracking exactly there, and we do have 50 full-time officials. They're fully invested. Unbelievable! What a great job, and the time and energy these guys do. They study films. They look at all the live. They share. If a guy makes a mistake, as all officials do, they all talk about it. They're interactive. It's unbelievable. What a great job! And a shout out to Aaron Bashirs. He's our lead guy. He trains these officials along with the whole team, Todd Walker and all of them. But Aaron deserves a lot of credit for having made this come true, and we do have 50 great full-time officials.
All right, man. We're kind of out of time, and there's a lot of comments on the instant feedback that I'm just not able to get to. But as people that watch this show, and in case you haven't watched this, though, I have to go shape the minds of today's youth and tomorrow's leaders in the economics and finance class that I teach right after the show. So we're kind of close on time here, Boyd. But man, I can't thank you enough. And I want to end on this. You said something in this interview that you would be willing to actually have me facilitate getting all three leagues together, if there's three leagues, getting all three leagues together and saying, look, guys, kind of the summit meeting. I mean, back in our day, many, many years ago, what was it? The meeting that they had at Camp David with President Carter. You remember that?
Yeah, hell yeah.
All right. I mean,
Yeah.
I would be more than willing to try and be the facilitator to get representatives for all three leagues in the same room and say, guys, look, let's do what's best for the fans, the anglers, the sponsors, and I think I cannot tell you how frustrated I was as a fan and somebody that's obviously involved in this game and has been involved in this game for so many years. It was very, very frustrating and very unfortunate for some of the guys out there that had a tremendous amount of success on all three of those events. So, hey, man, if you're willing, I'm willing. I'll do the grunt work. I'll make the phone calls, and maybe the likelihood is less than 20%, but what the hell, I'll try.
Hey, I'm in. I agree with you. It's quite a challenge because of the what's going to have to happen is those individual leagues will have to make sacrifices for their anglers to either fish on a holiday or miss home time. That's what you're going to run into. Yeah. But even if it's moving one or two, and it helps us cover the sport better, I'm all in.
All right.
We're at this. I'm working not just for Major League Fishing, but I come from the industry and I want it to be better for everyone in the industry. That's genuine. So we'll do our part. If you put that together, we will do our part to see if there's any way that we can do a better job of covering all of us. I'm all for that.
All right, man. We want to have you back on here, in a month and a half. 2 more events probably under your belt, and we'll get another evaluation of where you think things are after a couple more events. And I think you answered a lot of questions. I think there were some questions out there that hopefully your answers have cleared up some things for the fans, for other people in the industry. And I think it's time to move forward. And I've said that all along on this show, that everybody's got their own business model that they're trying to follow, and the industry has to move forward with what those business plans are. And hopefully the fans will understand what is taking place and get the most enjoyment and really become a fan and continue to become a fan of the game and actually pull more people in to become fans. And grow the whole thing to where when my grandchildren are older, that they're going to have the same opportunities that anybody else had to enjoy this great game of bass fishing. So that's my thoughts, Boyd.
Absolutely, and I'm all in favor of that happening. All of our sport, we all come from it, and the growth in this sport. That's why it's been so fun to be part of Major League Fishing. The opportunity to make our sport, which we all, it's competitive, it's a passionate sport, and to have a chance to share it with more people, that's what the dream is, and that's what we're all about. And I'm in support of our industry. I would be. There's nothing I'd be more proud of than for everyone in our industry to benefit. I'm genuine in that, and I think that ultimately, if we can all find a way to work together to make it bigger and to make it more visible and make it a better place. And also, we haven't talked about this today, and I know we're short on time, but from a conservation perspective, there's a lot of people involved in bass fishing. That's one of the things that you'll see us come with here shortly. We're investing in a conservation department. Our whole format is very conservation based. And that's something that as an industry, sponsors, anglers, all the leagues, we need to pull together to take care of our fisheries so that we have that future for everyone. And I think that's very positive for our sport. All the competitive anglers were used to doing that, but that's a big new thing that needs to be pushed maybe to the next level. So I'll give us something else to talk about on the next one.
All right, very cool. Once again, Boyd, thank you so much for coming on here. I know you're a very, very busy man, got a lot going on. I do want to mention next week we're going to have Marty Stone on. He's going to come on, kind of get his take on the first 4 events in his new role. And then we're going to have Patrick Walters on, the young kid from South Carolina who is currently leading the Angler of the Year race over on the Elite Series. And his story is very unique. Can't wait to talk to him. Coming from another guy to come from the college ranks. And he has done a lot of fishing, and he's off to a great start. So a great lineup next week. And then we're also going to do another one of our Sunline Hotline call-in shows on Wednesday. So last time we had that, Boyd, we had like 15, 16 phone calls in an hour. It was crazy.
Wow.
So,
yeah, awesome.
People can chime in and voice their opinion on whatever you want to talk about. That's kind of what we do here on BTL. And a great lineup. We're getting ready. We got a couple more events coming up here. You have Smith Lake coming up soon, right, Boyd?
Yep, week after next.
Yeah. So a lot to talk about here in the world of professional bass fishing. I want to thank everybody on the instant feedback. We had a tremendous amount of people. I apologize that I was not able to get to everybody's questions, but we will continue to do the best that we can. Boyd, anything else you want to kind of wrap it up? Any final words?
Let's go fish and enjoy this sport for a little bit. I work so hard in it. When I get a chance to go fishing, you don't want to forget to do that. So all of you guys that work all the time, hey, man, don't forget to go out there and enjoy what we love the best, and that's going fishing.
All right, sounds great. Matthew will be back on Monday, 8:30 a.m. Central Time right here on BTL. Everybody stay tuned. We're out of here.